Good morning, gentlemen. Welcome to the third and final installment of the Empress Club, Book 3, Checkmate. We are now on Chapter 6, Bond, James Bond. Now, this is about lessons I learned from James Bond, because there's a lot to learn from James Bond, fictional character notwithstanding. There's still life lessons you can gather from this James Bond. And the first thing I learned from James Bond is to stay calm no matter what the circumstances. Stay calm. Even if it looks dire and getting yourself out of whatever situation seems impossible, stay calm. So another lesson I learned was to have grace under fire. I also love how James Bond always had a slick mouth, even with the people who were about to kill him. He always had a slick mouth. It's like, yeah, you're going to kill me, but he isn't panicking. He isn't begging. Nothing. He's acting like, hey, we just going around the corner to listen to some music at the jazz lounge. And I adopted that approach to life, like to stay calm, be cool as a cucumber, no matter what the circumstances. Now, that took a while to do, but since I know watching James Bond do it, I figured it was possible. As a young man, I didn't know it was a movie per se, but I took the lessons from it, to stay calm regardless of the circumstances. Now, I learned from watching James Bond and in staying calm, even in dire consequences, that the solution to a problem which looks impossible is not only always present, it is very simple. And sometimes the problem is the solution out of a situation that you may find yourself in. Now, like take for example, I can't remember the show which James Bond it is, which is sad because I should have looked it up. But anyway, it was with Roger Moore, when he was going to be fed to alligators, and he was put on this little oh god, what you call it, a mound in the alligator swamp, and the villain was throwing chickens in the water for the alligators to come, and then he threw it where James Bond was, so the alligators would come on to the little mound in the middle of the swamp to attack James Bond. And he didn't panic. James Bond just looked around to find out, how am I going to get off here? And then what got me, which was so awesome, James Bond jumped on the back of the alligators that came to kill him, and he got to safety. I learned a valuable lesson from that sometimes the problem is the solution. As long as you're calm and you can think clearly, you'll be able to see how the solution that's threatening to overwhelm you and to devour you can actually be used to escape it. Now, that usually doesn't happen. But for me, the lesson is to stay calm. If I'm overwhelmed, stay calm. If the calamity can be used to escape the calamity, do it. If not, still remain calm. In addition to this, Miyamoto Musashi had said something similar to this in the Book of Five Rings, and I make that the mantra by which I live, and it goes as thus: even in the midst of violent chaos, remain calm and clear. Ninja. That is the coldest thing I've ever read in my life. And I thank God I read a lot, and thank God I'm curious, and I thank God I satisfy my curiosity. That changed my whole approach to life. But even in the midst of violent chaos, remain calm and clear. And I was saying, that is what James Bond was doing. Now, maybe What is the guy who wrote James Bond? Oh God, I should know his name. Oh, it's on the tip of my tongue. Fleming. Ian Fleming. Ian Fleming may not have been Buddhist or a Zen Buddhist or even a fan of Musashi. But to me, once I read that book, I figured, hey, Ian Fleming may be a fan of Musashi. Because that's the way James Bond behaves. Like his life is in peril. Death is imminent. And this dude is acting like it is absolutely nothing. And then remaining calm and clear, even in the midst of violent chaos, you able to see your way out of problems where if you would panic, you never would have seen it. And I've experienced that where the solution is so simple. It only could have been seen by remaining calm and clear. Now this, I know this for a fact because I would normally used to lose my temper. Not say panic, but lose my temper. And what happens, I learned from studying Zen after reading the wisdom of Musashi. I became a student of Zen after reading that. That when you panic, or in my case get angry, you cause the frontal lobe of your brain to shut down and your prehistoric brain takes over. And that's why you can't think when you're angry or when you panic. Well, all you do is make mistakes. Because the most sophisticated part of your brain has been shut down. Because you're operating, when you panic or get angry, you're operating from basic instinct. So you're using your animal brain. But if you remain calm and clear, your frontal lobe does all your thinking. So you're operating on a higher level than the person who's panicking. And in addition to that, by panicking and getting angry, you cause your heart rate to speed up. Your breathing changes. So that itself alters your brain waves. So I also had to learn how to control my breathing. Or in the whole, as a general rule, like when I'm in traffic, before doing the rants, I would just control my breathing. Because I needed it, because I knew the slightest thing would tick me off, I rather than respond to it normally, I would control my breathing. And by controlling my breathing, I keep my heart rate down. I'm breathing in deep and long, which causes the brain to operate on at least, I think it's theta waves. Well, anyway, the basic instinct don't take over. I can't remember which wave it is that your brain operates on when you take deep breaths for like 30 seconds or more. Excuse me. And from breathing, controlling my breathing, I'm oxygenating my body and my brain. So it's getting lots of oxygen. So it is not operating on basic instinct, it's on a higher level. So once I experienced that, I understand why James Bond could get out of seemingly impossible situations. Oh, what else? I was inspired by. I want to go. Oh, another thing I learned from James Bond is not to worship money. James Bond had a cavalier attitude towards money, like when he gambles. And a perfect example of it was Casino Royale. It's like he blew the money like it was nothing. Now, I never understood that until I watched the making of James Bond, the story of how James Bond came to be. I don't know if it was Ian Fleming's life or whatever the case was. James Bond, or Ian Fleming, I can't remember the movie. This was so long ago. Came from privilege, so he had money. And I guess it didn't do anything for him. It didn't satisfy his soul. So his perspective on money is not the perspective the average person has on money, that it is everything. So I've learned I don't get me wrong. I know the value of money, but I put money in its proper perspective. That money is a part of the puzzle, not the puzzle. And T.D. Jakes had done a sermon on it when he said that there are problems money can solve, because the Bible says money answers all things. Don't get me wrong, you need that money now. However, but the problems where money can't solve, that's a different story altogether. It helps you put into perspective the power of money. Like, especially when my main man was sick, even though he went to the doctor, even though he had the medicine, he still had to stay up all night with him to keep him cool for that fever to break. And no amount of money was going to break that fever. I'm grateful we had the money to take him to the doctor, buy his medicine, and to be able to take the day off. We're spending the whole night with him, 24 hours, having a 24-hour vigil until the fever break. Because there's no way I could have gone to work and function. So I learned from James Bond that you need money. However, money is not a god. So there's a cavalier approach to it. So that influenced my approach to money. To the point where, from my experience, if someone needs money and I have it, I'll help them. But I've learned that sometimes when the table is turned, people worship money more than what money can do. Like they would invest their money in nonsense before they put it to good use to help someone in need. But anyway, I've learned to put money in its proper place and handle it with the proper perspective. Now, am I going to be cavalier with money like James Bond? No. I adopt the attitude to where money is my servant, not my master. Now, there's a professional poker player named Doyle Bronson. I love him. He dropped a golden nugget. And this reinforced the lesson I learned from James Bond. And he said that to be a good gambler, when I say good, don't get me wrong, meaning mediocre. But he said, in order to be a successful gambler, you have to have a complete disregard for money. And I understood that, because someone said that, there's a saying that scare money don't make money. And that's the truth. If you're attaching negative energy to money, you can't win. You can't profit from it. So you've got to be able to have a complete disregard for money, especially like for me who work for himself. Now when the lean years come, hey, this tries his soul. But then when the good years are in, you save your money because you know the lean years are coming. And you're going to have to invest money without the desperation or the feeling of it having to come back. If you put that energy on the money, you're going to muddy the water for its return, if it ever returns. Like, I've invested money and got no return, but I didn't let that influence me in the next venture, because then now I'm going to be muddy in the water, thinking about, oh, my money may not come back like the last time. No. You have to have a complete disregard for money. You have to be able to lose it and don't worry about it. Now, that's something you have to experience to understand, because money has a mystique to it. Now, I learned that from Linda Goldman. And Drake said it best. Never lend money that you need right back. Like, you're putting negative energy on the money. Excuse me. So that is another lesson I learned from James Bond that was reinforced by the professional gambler Doyle Bronson. I think that's his name. Let me double check. Yes, Doyle Bronson. And by Drake. Don't ever lend money that you need right back. Not to say this is a lesson I learned from gamblers also. Only gamble with money you can afford to lose. Like, don't, like how some people gamble with hope. Or I have to, negative energy. You must have a complete disregard for money. When you let that go with your hand, just treat that as if it'll never come back. And if it doesn't, so be it. But don't put any intention on the money, but negative energy to it. Because remember, scared money don't make money. So that disregard for money frees you up from putting lower vibration on your money. So in essence, the lesson is don't put lower energy on the vibration on your money. Put higher energy vibration on your money. Excuse me. And that is achieved by having a complete disregard for money. Well, give me a second. Next lesson. I wrote some stuff down. I already said it. I got ahead of myself. I'm ahead of myself. This is about Linda Goldman. I got ahead of myself. That's what it always was. Drake, I just said I got ahead of myself. I'm talking about the energy that you put on the money. Ahead of myself again. All right. This is the final lesson. Well, next lesson, not the final one. Have a good team around you. Now, I know that James was working for Her Majesty's government, so he had a good team. But that's the lesson I got from it. James Bond had Q and M, but in particular Q, who made all the toys. So you've got to have people around you that either can assist you or add to you. Like, to me, Q is James Bond, but in a different way. It's like he is the yin to yang or yang to yin, however you want to put it. Like, the difference between the moon and the sun. They're both different, but they serve a purpose, and they both are needed. So you want to have people on your team that complement you, and as iron sharpen iron, make you better. How many times James Bond's life has been saved by Q's either inventions or, I wouldn't say invention, like his inventions and his additions, like to the cars, the watches, the belts. Like with the oil slicks, the belts, like the cars that can shoot rockets, drop spikes. So even though James Bond is out in the world doing all the field work, his stuff got saved because of all the stuff Q built. So you would want to have people in your life like that who complement what you're doing. Excuse me. What's another one? Oh, this is the last one. This is very important. You have to have good tools. You have to have good tools. Like, as a mechanic, I usually buy German-made tools. Now, I started off with Americans, but someone had given a gift of German tools. They're made out of steel mixed with vanadium, which makes them extra strong. So you could take a chance adding a lot of power to the tool, because you don't have to worry about it breaking because it's extra strong. Like take for example, a set of tools from, I don't recall the name, but the big name brand tool company. Say it costs you $80, $100. The German version, same thing, because it's much stronger, it's going to cost you at least $300. Now, is it the same thing? Yes. I use it for the same job? Yes. But to me, the extra money, the extra good tools, gives you peace of mind. Because I can tell you how many times the American-made tools break under pressure as opposed to the German ones. So gentlemen, you want to have good tools. You can never go wrong having good tools. Like my art teacher said, whenever you can, as much as you can, your pocket allows, always get the best tools available. Always work with the best. And I did because she said it, but then you know what working with the best did for me? It made me respect my craft more, so I treated better because I spent more on the tools. And it inspired me to do my best because I'm using the best. And I'm grateful to her for that, because when people want to buy my stuff, they want to pay X, Y, and Z amount for it. And I tell them, no. This is not quality material we use, and this is the top of the line. This is not the most, at the very top, but if people are paying $100 for 10 paints, and the least I'm paying $300 for a set of 10. I'm working with good material. Makes you want, I mean, it's just me. Working with the best materials inspires me to go the extra mile. And what I always ask myself is this: how can I add 2 zeros to my work just from working with the best paint? It makes me want to ask, is this the best I can do? Can I improve on this to add 2 more zeros to it? So gentlemen, make sure you work with the best tools. It affects your mindset, it affects your work ethic, and it affects your approach to professionalism. Anyway, that's it, gentlemen. Catch you on the flip side, chapter 7, which is when the student is ready. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you for joining me on the 3rd installment of the Empress Club Checkmate in chapter 6, James Bond. See you in a bit.